We're looking at gearing now. So gearing is about the long-term risk of the business because of the amount of debts that we have. Now, having debts is not a problem, provided we can keep on repaying them. So the problem with having debt is the repayment burden. So this is the long-term risk due to the burden of repayments. So if we have lots of debt, that is maybe a concern. But if we have the cash coming in, if our sales are good or making good profit to cover our debt, then we're not necessarily so concerned. But it's the fact that we have regular monthly payments going out. If those payments go up and our income starts to drop, then we start to become in a difficult situation. So what we do is we use a debt equity ratio. Now, so debt is long-term money we owe, so that would be mortgages, things like that, term loans. In this question here, for example, we got no term loans, so the debt would be very low, or the risk would be low because we don't have regular monthly payments. But you will have, in some of the questions, you will have some of them. Now, equity, just so we understand, equity is money invested by shareholders, both at the beginning and as the business has continued, and we've been allowed by the shareholders to retain some of our profits. So if we end up with a figure of, let's say, 1 to 1, that means we have the same amount. We have the same amount of debts as shareholders' money. That means 50% of the money put in was borrowed, 50% came from shareholders. Well, that would be medium risk. If the debt was, let's say, more than the shareholders' money, let's say if we got a figure of 2 to 1, well then that would be higher risk because twice as much money was borrowed compared to the shareholders' money, so that's high risk. And then if we had a figure of, let's say, 0.5 to 1 or so, somewhere around that, that would be low risk. Again, the risk is not because of the amount of debt you have, it's the fact that we have to repay those debts. We have a regular burden of repayments. Whereas with shareholders, if we have a bad year, we don't have to pay out dividends. And remember over here, we had 52 grand of profit. We've decided only to pay out 10 grand of that in dividends to the ordinary shareholder. So we're retaining a lot of the rest of it. So that's going to be good for the future of the business.